here's your conservative, but not bitter host, Todd Huff.
Well, that is right. You are listening to Conservative Not Bitter Talk. I'm your host, Todd Huff. Sorry, I just glanced up. I had not seen this morning until now. 2 individuals were killed last night in these in riots in Kenosha, Wisconsin. Anyway, I want to talk. It's sad. I don't want to talk about that at the moment, but I glanced up and saw that here as we're starting hour 2 of the program. Welcome. Email todd@toddhuffshow.com, facebook.com/toddhuffshow for hour number 1 of the program. Also, eventually hour number 2, but you're catching hour 2 on YouTube. Many of you are anyway. And of course, you're catching it on the radio as well. So it's good to be here no matter where you are listening to the program. Just last hour, we were talking about the left's response to Melania Trump last night. And it is pathetic. The radical left, the Bette Midlers of the world. Absolutely ridiculous what she had said about Melania. We talked about that. Again, we talked about how much praise and adoration would be lavished upon Melania Trump if she were married. And again, I apologize, Melania, for even putting this thought into your mind, but if she were married to Joe Biden, or if she were married to fill in the blank with some other liberal Democrat or whatever the case may be, she would be considered the standard for grace and style, the way that a first lady is supposed to act and dress. And oh man, her triceps would be the focus of all sorts of attention, and maybe her calves, maybe her ankles. Who knows where this would go? She would be on Oprah. She would be interviewed by Gayle King. There would be segments dedicated to her on CNN. The importance of grace in today's world. All sorts of this kind of stuff would be. You know that this is undeniably true. Undeniably true. But they have rage and hatred for Melania. And we've seen that on display. We saw that last night. So that's what we talked about last hour. If you want to, go back and listen to that, you can do that on the show archives page, toddhuffshow.com/listen, or check out our Facebook feed, or check out our podcast, whatever is more convenient for you. But I want to move this hour into where I think this may be headed. So let me kind of paint the picture here of where I think we are. You have to go back in time. You have to go back. Democrats were on a political high in 2008, all the way through the end of the term of Obama, through January of 2017. Let's take it up to Election Day, November of 2016. Democrats were on a high. To the radical left, I've said this before, I'll say it again, to the radical left. I'm not talking about all Democrats. You know who you are. I've had people write me who are radical leftists and tell me, you understand me, because the closest thing I have to a religion, they will tell me, the closest thing I have to a religion is my belief in government. Government is effectively the religion of the radical left. And so they feel that their religion has been hijacked by basically heretics. That's kind of what they think. They believe that when Trump was elected, a heretic, it's like if you're Catholic and you were to have a pope that did not believe in God, or if you're a Christian and you're attending an evangelical church, if your church board elects a pastor, or hires a pastor, I should say, and that pastor is not a believer, just someone that likes to get up there and talk about stuff, or whatever the case may be, it's something akin to that, because government is God for the radical left. I'm telling you, do not doubt this. A lot of things will fall into place if you can accept this. And I know that there's a reluctance to accept this. But a lot of these folks, they don't believe. They believe that we're here by pure chance. There is no creator God. There is no power outside of what we know in physical creation. But of course, it's called creation because there was a creator. But nonetheless, they don't want to accept this. They believe that myth and coincidence and chance all somehow come together into this big mixing bowl of possibilities, and poof, something comes out. It's like you dump a bunch of ingredients into a mixing bowl, and suddenly you get chocolate chip cookies without mixing them, adding the ingredients in the right order, putting them into little scoops of dough on your cooking tray, preheating the oven. I'm making myself hungry saying this. Sliding that tray into the oven and pulling it out. It's as though none of that happens. It's just random stuff and we're here. Cannot be a God because they don't want there to be. They don't want to deal with that reality. Some folks, I believe, are genuinely confused, but many just simply don't want that. So instead, they place their focus on government. They don't look the founders. You look at what the founders said. We are created with unalienable rights, that among those are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Freedom is a gift of God. Our liberties are given to us by our Creator. And so they can't accept that to some degree because they don't believe there's a Creator. So maybe they think we should have those things, but since there's no ultimate truth or ultimate power or ultimate authority in this universe, it's just random, then someone else better jump in and take control of that, right? And so that's where a lot of this pressure, I think, comes. Because if we don't have someone that's in strong control of morality or what civilizations and cultures should be engaged in, then who else is watching over this? Who else is... It's like they don't even recognize that that humanity, while we often do the wrong things, and in fact, oftentimes incredibly wrong things, the Bible calls this sin, by the way, even though we do those things, people also know we have a conscience, and we know, there's a reason we make excuses, as C.S. Lewis said in his magnificent piece called Mere Christianity. There's a reason we make excuses when we do something we shouldn't do. Whether that's, his simple example is cut someone in line. We have to explain to the other person why we did not actually violate that agreed upon moral code between us. And the reason is because there's a moral lawgiver that there's a moral law that we both agreed to without even understanding it, without even having a discussion. This could be a perfect stranger. And so we engage in trying to defend ourselves. And if there's a moral law, of course, there's a moral law giver. But they don't want to accept any of that. They don't want to accept any of that. What they want to accept is that these things need to be determined by government, and they need to be determined by people that think like them. And so any thought of this going to someone who sees the world differently or that believes in freedom and liberty in the ways that it's really truly meant to be believed and embraced causes panic, I think, in many of these individuals. Can't have that. Can't have people who believe in God making these decisions because they think, just as they want to use government to implement their religious values, because again, government is the source of many of their, some would even say, I don't think they would, some might say worship even, but it's really just this focus, the focused attention on that's the most important thing. It's above all else is the government and how we can basically control and manipulate people's lives. That's how they look at this. And so the idea of someone who believes in God coming in there makes them think, wait a minute, now they're going to try to force their opinions on me. We can't have that. Which, by the way, I wouldn't do, and I'm not running, I have no interest, but people who believe what I believe wouldn't do that. Because there's no such thing as a forced Christian, by the way. God doesn't have any grandchildren. God has children. We have relationships with him directly. We can either choose to engage in that of our own free will, or we can choose not to. That is our choice. He's given us that freedom. So you can't force anyone. People, this has been done throughout the ages. People want to force certain religious actions by people, but that's not really how this works. But nonetheless, this is the fear. This is so when they have control of the government and they lose that suddenly, I mean, it is panic mode. And we saw that unfold before our very eyes in the weeks following the election. You could see it happen the night of the election. I'm reminded of Cenk Uygur of the Young Turks having a meltdown, dropping all sort of expletives on his program. I can assure you, God forbid, Trump loses, I'm not going to act like that. I might feel a little like that on the inside to think about what they're going to want to do with their acquired power. But nonetheless, it's not the same. I still have a Savior. I still have a God. I still have, my world is not completely destroyed as theirs was. And so, I mean, it's still important. I'm not minimizing. Please do not misunderstand me. It's still an important thing. We have to win this election. No ifs, ands, or buts. We have to win this election. And we have to understand, too, that they are prepared to use any and all means necessary because they do not want to repeat of 2016. They don't want to have to use adult coloring books. They don't want to break out the Play-Doh. It's all dried up. It's all dried up. They don't want to try to go back and find some adult service some service dogs to help them cope. Classes have already largely been canceled on, I shouldn't say canceled, but in-person classes have been turned in many cases on college campuses around this country to distance learning. So there's not that support network. So they can't just start canceling classes left and right to help people cope. They can't have cry-ins. They don't want to revisit that. They don't want to relive that. They don't want to rehash that. Instead, what they want to do is have victory. Instead, what they want to do is to replace Donald Trump. They want their pain and sorrow and fears to be replaced with joy and excitement because they can once again put their faith in their government, which, by the way, is not anything close to what I do with my faith. I put my faith in God. We delegate certain things to the government, but not too much. And then I spend my time fighting to make sure that the things that we haven't willingly delegated doesn't get taken over by the government, including my right to keep and bear arms, my right to say what I want to say, express myself, my freedom to associate with people that I want to associate with, and in particular, how that pertains to my religious faith, how we should be able to follow the dictates of our conscience and our faith as instructed in the Bible or through church doctrine or some combination or whatever, however people come to these things. I mean, of course, it should be rooted from a Christian perspective in the Bible. I'm just saying we can't just say it has to be what the government says is in the Bible. That's not what I'm saying is the point. I want to be able to freely associate and to be able to say what is biblical and unbiblical in my church or even in my community. People can reject that. People can ignore that. People can say that they don't want to hear that. They can't shut me up, but they can walk away. They can turn me off, whatever. But that's not how they look at this. This is everything for them. This is everything. And because it's everything, they are willing to do anything. And that's what I want to talk about. So I wanted to set up. That's what, and they are terrified. They look at polls and they see independents are going towards Trump right now by 11 points. The same poll that shows Biden up nationally by whatever it is, 10 points, also shows that Trump is winning states, well, I should say leading, Michigan, Pennsylvania. I have to pull it up in front of me, but I saw those two states. And they're scared. And they're halfway through this convention. They get callers like the one I played at the end of last hour. Callers who come out and say things like, I'm a Democrat on C-SPAN. He says, I'm a Democrat, but I've watched 2 nights of this Republican convention, and I'm going to vote for Republicans because Republicans have a message that resonates with me in particular. They reference God, and the Democrat Party has all but abandoned God. That's what the caller said. Now, who knows? I mean, people make stuff up. That could be disingenuous. I'm not making that claim. I just know that that's something people will say, but nonetheless, that's what was said, and they're afraid of this. In fact, I would go as far to say they are utterly terrified of this. The idea that Trump is going to continue to pick up momentum, beginning with this convention, as we move to Election Day. And that's where the anger and the rage comes out. That's where the Bette Midler tweets about Melania still not knowing English comes out. The xenophobia, the anger, the rage, the hatred. That's where it stems from. That's where it comes from. And buckle up, because we ain't seen nothing yet. I'm telling you, prepare for impact with November 3rd and the days to follow. And so with all that being said, I've set the stage for what I want to play next. Hillary Clinton being interviewed by some other radical leftist talking about Biden and what Biden should do. Should it be a close election? And I'm telling you that this, of all the things that I've heard, I think we should pay close attention to this, because you factor in mail-in, vote by mail, and all this fight about the post office. For a party that thinks it's going to win this election, it sure is saying a lot of bad things about the integrity of our election. It seems like they're setting this up as a situation where they can tell us they can give us reasons why Biden lost and why Trump did something illegal. They're setting the stage. They're stacking the deck in that favor. So get ready for this. When we think about November 3rd, I'm telling you, there's a possibility that they're going to fight this thing for who knows. This may feel like Al Gore and George W. Bush in 2020, counting hanging chads and all that kind of stuff. Some of you are too young to remember that. I remember that very well. And we may be headed towards something like that. And I just want to kind of put that out there this morning. And we'll do that after this break. Sit tight. Be back in just a minute.
Looking to make a conservative, not bitter fashion statement? Check out our apparel online, including brand new items, at toddhuffshow.com/shop today.
We all know having health insurance doesn't always equal health care. That's why at Freedom HealthWorks, we believe the key to maintaining good health is based on a straightforward, personal relationship with your physician. With our direct doctor-patient relationship model, we remove your healthcare middleman and replace him with transparent pricing and incentive to call your doctor at the first sign of illness. So if you're ready to experience real care from a doctor that really cares about you, go to freedomhealthworks.com and learn more about the benefits of our direct primary care model. Freedom HealthWorks. Be treated better.
Our partner, Global Plasma Solutions, has published ionization testing results that demonstrate a 99.4% reduction rate on a SARS-CoV-2 COVID-19 surface strain within 30 minutes. This is the first instance that an air purification company has effectively neutralized SARS-CoV-2. Commercial Service Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing is installing this solution in businesses and homes in South Central Indiana. Get your free information kit at commercialservice.com/info. Commercial Service, commercial-grade service for your home.
In the compassion of Christ, we see Christ as he models it for us in some really interesting ways. He's not worried about the world metrics. No, he is worried about the person. Mark 5, he gets in a boat and goes across the lake for one person. We see him as he's walking amidst all of the people. He stops to engage with the one woman with the issue of blood. Christ was about engaging with people and not worried about numbers. If there was one, he wanted to engage and connect with them. For us today to live out the compassion of Christ, will you engage with someone? Will you engage with the one? Not worried about the numbers, but worried about the connection.
Hi, this is Caleb with Gluff Plumbing. Does your home need some plumbing updates? Gluff Plumbing is your solution. We specialize in updating old plumbing, everything from water heaters to well pumps, to underground leaks and everything that has to do with water entering and leaving the home, including water and sewer main excavations. We pride ourselves on old-fashioned customer service. Call Gluff Plumbing at 765-721-6789 or visit gluffplumbing.com. That's GLUFF plumbing.com. Call us today.
Indy Decorative Concrete is hiring immediately. They're looking for workers with experience finishing concrete. Pay is $25 to $30 per hour with weekly overtime. All jobs are located within the city of Indianapolis. Call 317-784-1464 or apply in person at their offices located at 8366 Brookville Road, Indianapolis, Indiana, 46239. They're open Monday to Friday from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. For more information, visit their website, www.indiedecorativeconcrete.com. www.indiedecorativeconcrete.com.
Healthcare is expensive and complicated. Did you know that as a Christian business owner, it is possible to provide access to affordable health benefits for your employees? Remodel Health has helped employers across the United States save over $22 million in the past 3 years. Our innovative approach allows your employees to have the health benefits they need at a cost you can afford. Go to remodelhealth.com/Todd to help your employees find the healthcare they deserve. Remodel Health. Rethink employee health benefits.
Our word can't be diluted because we are taught that a promise is a commitment in which you always follow through. No ifs, ands, or buts. So every time you walk through Greg Hubler Chevrolet doors, you can count on the advice and expertise we provide you. Because when we make a promise, we keep it. Greg Hubler Chevrolet. Promise kept. Visit GregHublerChevy.com. Find new roads.
All right, welcome back. So I want to play. I had this pulled up, and then at the last minute, I decided to look up something else. So you got to give me a second here. But Hillary Clinton, she's being interviewed on a program. Jennifer Palmieri, I think that's how you pronounce her name. She was involved. I remember seeing her name. I don't know if she was involved directly with the Clinton campaign back in 2016. I don't know if she was involved with, one of these leftist organizations like Obama for America. Just trying to wrap my head around the name of that organization, or organizing. It's now Organizing for America. Obama for America became Organizing for America. So she may be involved in one of those things, but she has a program apparently called the Recount. Is that what this is? And well, I think the program's actually called, now I'm looking at this, I think it's called the Center Ring. Regardless, she is talking with Hillary. Hillary Clinton, you may remember, lost the 2016 election. She doesn't think she really lost, though. In fact, I went back and forth there. I'm going to play. This is a promotional clip, and I'm going to play the whole thing. So there's actually something that Hillary says at the beginning, and then there's maybe a few seconds of intro music before she gets to the content that I want to share. But I wanted to share the whole thing because of her comments. Because of her comments about losing the election. She says something like, as you know, you can still get 3 million more votes than your opponent and still lose this thing called the Electoral College, which she knew going into this. She knew going into this back in 2016. They know this. They know it now as well, and the wound is fresh. The last time they went through this, they lost. The last time when they went through this, they had cry-ins. They had adult Play-Doh. They had adult coloring books. They had service dogs. They had the cry-ins I mentioned. They had all sorts of things. Canceling classes. Screaming at the universe. Trump won. It's going to change things. I don't know why they're screaming at the universe when they don't believe that there's any creator. I don't know. They're just mad at something that is just randomly happening. It makes no sense, but then again, don't ask me to explain certain things. But I want you to hear this. I want you to hear what she says at the beginning. There'll be some intro music, and then I want you to listen to her advice, what she's telling Joe Biden, she being Hillary Clinton, 2016's loser. I want you to listen to what she's telling Joe Biden. I want you can close your eyes. You can just envision what this means for November and the days following November 3rd. Where does this end? Ask yourself that. Remember, too, that when they tell you when they try to explain to you what Republicans, quote unquote, are doing, you should really look at this and say it's what they themselves are preparing to do. So this is this may be going through the courts. Who knows where this thing is going? But I want you to listen to this Hillary Clinton talking with Jennifer Palmieri on the center ring. Here you go.
Look, it's going to be a close election. As I said in my speech, you can win 3 million more votes and still, not get elected because of the Electoral College. It all comes down to the Electoral College.
It does. And you knew that in 16, by the way, too, Hillary. Forced laugh there, by the way. Intro music, here it comes. Now here's a clip I want you to hear.
If it's a close election, like say Biden, say Biden wins, what do you think Trump will do?
Look, I think that they have a couple of scenarios that they're looking toward. One is messing up absentee balloting.
Right, of course.
They believe that helps them. So that they then get maybe a narrow advantage in the Electoral College on Election Day. Because remember, we've seen a couple of cases, like in Wisconsin, where they did everything they could to mess up voting. But because courts had ordered absentee ballots to be counted if they were postmarked on Election Day, Democrats actually won some important races there. In the recent Michigan primary, I was told in Detroit, the Republicans had 40 lawyers challenging absentee mail-in voting, and a local reporter talking to one of the lawyers he knew was told it was a dry run for November. So we've got to have a massive legal operation, and I know the Biden campaign is working on that.
Mm-hmm.
We have to have
anyway.
poll workers, and I urge people who are able to be a poll worker. We have to have our own teams of people to counter the
I love how she acts.
Force of intimidation
like they don't
that
have
the
this.
Republicans and Trump are going to put outside polling
They don't have it put
places.
together already.
This is a big organizational challenge, but at least we know more about what they're going to do.
Okay, brace for
And,
this.
Joe Biden should not concede under any circumstances because I think this is going to drag out, and eventually I do believe he will win if we don't give an inch and if we are as focused and relentless as the other side is.
Yeah. Yeah, project much, Hillary? I love how she acts. Acts like they don't have teams of attorneys. You remember, for some of you remember, some of you weren't even around, or were old, or you weren't old enough to know anything back in 2000 because you were still a kid and didn't follow this stuff or whatever. Or maybe even worse, you were a liberal. Kidding, not kidding. But, I remember watching these stupid videos. Or, it was footage of people holding up to the light ballots. And we're trying to say, is that a dimpled Chad? Is that a hanging Chad? Trying to gauge based upon what the piece of paper looked like. Trying to gauge that to see whether or not the person intended to cast a vote for Al Gore. And this silly nonsense went on for a while until finally the Supreme Court made its ruling, and it was the right ruling, by the way, even though the folks back then acted like the Supreme Court stole the election from Al Gore back in 2000. They did. That's what they. And it's funny. You go back to 16. Remember when Donald Trump said the election was rigged? Hillary's first response was, "You cannot undermine. You're causing people not to believe in the American system. You're causing people to have questions about this. You can't do this. This is not American, President Trump." And then when the outcome was different and Trump actually won, Hillary was so cocky and arrogant and conceited, she thought this was a foregone conclusion, and she lost. And by the way, she knew the Electoral College was in effect in 2016 as well. She acts as though, you can still win 3,000 more votes and you can lose, as we saw with me. I'm really the winner because there's this thing called the Electoral College. I mean, that's what she's going to believe forever. Fine, I don't even care. What I do care about is what they're going to do here. Trump, again, said the election was rigged in 2016. People lost their minds on him said that he was undermining the confidence in our system. Keep in mind, the Democrats had said that the Supreme Court had stolen the election from Al Gore in 2000 already, but that didn't have anything to do with undermining people's confidence in the election process. And so, ever since that point, when Trump uttered those words and Hillary condescendingly responded, ever since that point when she lost, all we talked about is how the election was rigged against Hillary, effectively. Russian collusion, Facebook ads, Pokemon Go ads, people being tricked to vote for someone they didn't really mean to vote for, all this stuff. Not Hillary's fault. Now she's out there telling Biden, get a team of attorneys together, which they're, first of all, A, they're all attorneys already. B, they have a team of attorneys sitting and ready to go. This is who these folks are. They want to find some legal maneuvering to somehow create an outcome through a loophole besides simply trusting the American people. So prepare for this. They're acting like this is going to be brought upon us by Republicans, but I'm telling you, it's going to be brought upon us by people who are simply not going to let Trump get away with this if there's any way possible to stop it. So, talk about this more when we get back. You're listening to Conservative Not Bitter Talk. I'm your host, Todd Huff, back in just a minute.
Like what you hear on Todd's show? Why not get more by signing up for Todd's free Semi-Sweet Morsels of Truth newsletter? To subscribe, visit toddhuffshow.com/subscribe or text HUFF to 31996.
This is the sound of your typical do-it-yourselfer in completely over his head.
For heating, plumbing,
and electrical done right.
Call Mr. Quick. Call Mr. Quick. Dial the number, spell the words. For on time.
Hi, my name is John Swadner, Sales Director of the Todd Huff Show. As a listener of the program, you know the show is growing. 4 years ago, it began as a podcast in a closet. Today, it's a 2-hour show that airs during morning drive in Indy and in Utah, and we're just scratching the surface. Todd brought me on board to help the show and our advertisers grow. That's why I'm specifically looking for partners who are a good fit to advertise with us. Would that be you? To learn more about what advertising would look like and to determine if it's a good fit for your business, shoot me an email to john@toddhuffshow.com. And be sure to ask me about some of our special packages that will save you up to 40%. Email john@toddhuffshow.com. Shoot me an email today.
Anxiety, depression, relationship problems, past trauma. Problems rarely get better when given time. Care to Change Counseling can help. Our professionals combined evidence-based care models with scripture to get you on the path to a productive life. We are here to help you make the changes you need for a healthier, happier you. Take that brave step today. Call Care to Change at 317-790-9396 or visit caretochange.org.
What if your bank treated you like a person instead of an account number? What if you could sit across from the person you are opening an account with or requesting a loan from and have an actual conversation? You may be thinking, Todd, that's crazy talk. Well, not at Citizens Bank. Come visit them in Monrovia and meet Nick Gibson, their new branch manager, and the rest of their staff. Or give them a call at 317-831-0110. Citizens Bank is an equal housing lender and member FDIC.
I love my community, and I wanted to do more to make a difference with my hard-earned dollars. I wanted to make an impact and help shape our future and our county. So I gave money to the Community Foundation of Morgan County. More than just charitable giving, the money I donate is tracked and measured so every dollar is held accountable. It's a social return on your investment. Why don't you join me in donating at cfmconline.org? That's cfmconline.org. Philanthropy with measurable impact.
Business leaders, are your employees satisfied with their jobs? Do they enjoy coming to work and feel valued? Workforce Chaplains can help. Locally owned, we work with organizations to provide holistic care to their employees. I'm Marcus Schrader, President of Workforce Chaplains, and we offer your team a 24/7 support system that positively affects your company's culture and productivity. With our personalized pricing and diverse support system, we handle the issues that you wish you had time for. To learn more, visit us at workforcechaplains.com.
Welcome back. In 2016, I distinctively remember this. I remember people saying things to me like, I can't wait. Now, you're going to have to go back in your memory bank here. You're going to have to go, because life has changed so much. Even before COVID, life had changed so much. We've been ramping up the intensity of where we lived on a day-to-day basis. It had been ramping up pretty much since, as we moved into the election season 4 years ago. Again, for reasons I outlined in the first segment of this hour, because of what this means to the radical left. I mean, it means a lot to everybody, but what it means to them is even something different than it means to a conservative Christian like myself. I don't need a savior. I need a savior. I don't need another one. Jesus is mine. I don't need the government to play that role. Government has a role. Government is important. The way we live this side of heaven is important. Freedom and liberty are ways that God created us to live. But I don't need the government. I need the government to do its job, not to do the job of God. And that's really, liberals and conservatives disagree on what that job is. Actually, liberals are on one side of the argument. The founders and conservatives are on the other. They believe the government should effectively become God. And when that is at risk, they get really upset. Really upset. And that's what we've seen. And so we've been on this pathway towards tensions building. We've been on this pathway towards tensions building for a long time. And I mean, you can just look. You've heard me say this before. Everything is political. What you eat, what you drink, what you drive, what you wear, what you watch on TV, what movies you see, what movies you don't see, whether or not you watch the NFL, whether or not you watch the NBA. I don't. Whether or not anything. Just fill in the blank. Everything's political. Everything. What color you wear, probably political. If it's not, it will be soon. And so we've been ramping up to this point. And I remember back in 2016, as it was getting tense, people said, because again, it was pre-Donald Trump hysteria, right? The cultural phenomenon that we've seen since Trump was elected, which is Trump is a dictator, Trump's destroying planet Earth, Trump's destroying the United States, Trump's destroying the economy, the culture, all things decent and good and wholesome and true. Obama had put all those things into perfect harmony and in perfect place, and Trump came in like a bull in a china shop and just totally annihilated those things. That's the narrative. That was the narrative back leading into the election, and of course it's picked up since then. But I remember people, and at the time I said, folks, this is the wrong way of looking at this. They would say things like, well, I can't wait for this election to be over so that things can go back to normal. And I should go back and pull some of my old clips and play what I said, but I remember saying something to the effect of the radical left, what this represents, Hillary, the role of government, Trump, all this stuff, what this represents is something so important to them. Again, for the radical left, this is their religion. This is their God. I'm telling you, not all. I'm very fair with this as far as differentiating between the radical left and, just normal rank and file Democrats. But I remember saying it's naive to believe that this is over, especially if Trump wins, that this is over as soon as the election is over, because Trump represented, for the first time ever, they had a guy that said, I'm going to basically undo what Obama did, and they knew he was serious. Even though they wanted you to think he wasn't serious, they knew the guy was deadly serious. And so they knew we are not going to give a 1 inch. You can say metaphorical inch. We're not going to concede 1 inch to him. We are going to dig in, and we're going to have trench warfare, hand-to-hand combat. We're going to make this as ugly and as bad as we can, because Trump is a type of person that we've not dealt with before. Normally, when we start saying bad things about somebody, they capitulate, they give in, they stop pushing back and fighting. Not Trump. He doubles down, he triples down, he quadruples down. He's not going to stop. He is a relentless force of nature. They have never dealt with anything like this before. And so I said it is naive to think that Trump can win and they're finally going to, and they're just going to say, well, you won, you get to run the government for a while. No way. No way is that going to happen. And so I tell you again, as we move to 2020, the idea that I'm telling you, we're going to get to this election. Trump's going to, let's say Trump wins. I'm not predicting that, but it's very possible. It's also very possible that Biden wins. But if this is the case, Trump wins, close election, do not think for a moment that this is just going to pass by. They're going to accept this and walk away. Hillary has told us what they're going to do. She acts like it's in response to Republicans, but it's in response to what they're afraid you are going to do with your vote. Think about that. Think about that. Let that set in. We're worried about them trying to stuff the ballot boxes with inappropriate or illegitimate ballots through some massive vote-by-mail fraud scheme. They're worried about you actually having your voice heard without their input, without their interference. That's what they're afraid of. They're afraid of you. And they got to make sure that they cannot simply trust you. So they put these backup plans in place, these fail-safes. And this is not, I'm telling you, they're not going to go away quietly into the night over this. I mean, maybe if Trump wins in a landslide, I don't even know that that'll be the case if he wins in a landslide. Be prepared for this to get challenged. Be prepared for things that happen that you may have never seen before or may not have seen anything like since 2000 with Al Gore and the lawsuits and people holding ballots up to lights, determining if it's a dimpled Chad, hanging Chad, all this sort of stuff. So, that said, take a quick time out. You're listening to Conservative Not Bitter Talk. I'm your host, Todd Huff. Back in just a minute.
Listen to Todd's show on your way to work, but want to hear more? Don't miss a beat. Visit toddhuffshow.com/listen to catch the program anytime, anywhere.
Are you concerned about your investments? Intrepid Financial has been educating, customizing, and servicing Hoosier investment portfolios since 1998. Our family-owned and operated business builds strong bonds with our clients. When you call, we answer the phone, always ready to walk you through your investment strategy. Intrepid means without fear. We want our clients to be fearless, to feel secure with their investments. Give us a call at 317-818-1776 or visit us online at intrepidfinancial.com.
All right, here we go. $100 down, $200 back at $300.
I went to my first firearms auction a few years ago. It was hosted by TJ Freege, one of my good friends from high school, who is a champion auctioneer and one of the best in the business. In spite of objections from liberal legislators, I walked away with a .22 rifle and a few boxes of ammunition. And I had a great afternoon with my grandpa that I won't soon forget. If you've ever wondered what treasure you could find in an auction, visit FreegeAuctioneers.com and take a look at their upcoming Central Indiana auction schedule. That's Freege, F-R-E-I-J-E, auctioneers.com. Visit FreegeAuctioneers.com.
Hi, I'm TJ Freege, owner and lead auctioneer at Freege & Freege Auctions and Marketing. I invite you to come see the power of live auctions. It's fast, it's fun, it's transparent, and it's the absolute best way to ensure you get fair market value for your asset today. Get results, go auction.
Radon is an invisible, odorless gas that kills more people than drunk driving. In fact, radon is the leading cause of lung cancer in non-smokers. Is radon threatening the health of your family? Call Radon Environmental at 317-843-0804. Radon Environmental specializes in radon testing and mitigation. The process is quick, easy, and worth it. Radon Environmental wants to make sure your family's health is not at risk. Call 317-843-0804.
Hey Indianapolis, by now you've probably heard about Jody Dowdle with Midwest Tax Group. Jody and his team are experts at helping you prepare your personal or small business tax returns. You can count on Midwest Tax Group to get every deduction possible and work for your higher refund. And not just on this year's taxes, they'll check your prior returns for any tax savings you may have missed for free. Are you behind on filing your returns? They can file past due returns and help negotiate with the IRS too. They complete most tax returns within a week and charge an affordable, flat fee, no hourly billing. And as their client, you can consult with the team at Midwest Tax Group year-round at no charge. Midwest Tax Group has 4 office locations in Castleton, Greenwood, Plainfield, and Greenfield, with evening and weekend appointments available. Schedule your appointment today at 317-288-5260. That's 317-288-5260. Or visit their website at mwtaxgroup.com. Midwest Tax Group can help you more than any piece of software ever could.
The printing industry has changed a lot since we opened for business in 1931, but what our clients expect from us really hasn't changed. Quality print, fast turnaround, and competitive prices. We've learned a lot at Moeller Printing over 86 years and 3 generations. Why not put that experience to work for you? Call 317-353-2224 and mention discount code RADIO to receive 10% off your first order. Call Moeller Printing at 317-353-2224.
Welcome back. So I've been, actually during the break, I was watching, apparently, I don't know if this was yesterday, Donna Brazile was with Brian Kilmeade on Fox and Friends, and Tammy Bruce was the other guest. And, I mean, the reaction of Donna Brazile here, Tammy Bruce is basically talking about the stories being told at the convention, and then suddenly she makes a comment. She says, you know, the Democrats are basically letting these cities burn. They're not really doing anything about it. They're not condemning it, all this sort of stuff. And Donna Brazile says you're ignoring 400 years of racism and that sort of thing. So you're not accounting for the pent-up anger, aggression, rage from the people doing these things. You're being insensitive. You're being patronizing. Basically Donna Brazile lost her mind. So to the point, what I'm getting at is, expect more of this. I can't play this soundbite, and you can look it up. But, I mean, Donna Brazile it turned into kind of like a third grade fight. Like one person was talking, the other was going la, 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 and then the other person was talking over him, and the other person was starting to talk back over them, and all this stuff. This is, I'm telling you, more of this. And the more that this convention goes on without a problem, the more that they see women on stage, they don't like that. You have women on stage at the Republican National Convention. They don't like that. That's supposed to be an issue that Democrats own. They're supposed to be the party of women. You can't be showing a bunch of women, Pam Bondi, Kimberly Guilfoyle, Nikki Haley. All of these women that we've seen on stage, and there will be more. Tonight we're going to hear from Kayleigh McEnany, the Republican convention. The more that this goes on, the more that this looks good, feels good, the more callers that call into C-SPAN who are Democrats who say, I'm voting Republican, it terrifies them. This is their message. More teenagers that go on the show, on the convention, like Mr. Sandman, Nick Sandman, the young man who won a major settlement from CNN for the way that they treated and reported on this teenager, misrepresented truths in what happened. He was speaking last night at the convention, did a good job. Young man, put on his MAGA hat, and people lost their minds. Anyway, prepare for more of this. This is not going away. We have one choice, and that is to win this election, pure and simple. Nose to the grindstone, get out the vote, go to the polls on Election Day, early voting, request your absentee ballot, convince your friends, whatever that looks like. We have to win this election. This is what the response is going to be. They're going to do this regardless. Between now and until they get their way, this is what they're going to do. They will up the ante. They will stir up more dissension. We have to put our nose down and walk straight ahead into doing the right thing. We cannot be the slightest bit troubled. I mean, we can be troubled by the chaos they've caused, but we cannot let it detract us from what needs to be done. And that is to elect Donald J. Trump, that is to win the House of Representatives, and that is to win the Senate in November. Quick timeout, come back and wrap up for the day. You're listening to Conservative Not Better Talk. I'm your host, Todd Huff. Back in just a minute.
Is it possible to be a fan of the show if you don't have the gear to prove it? Why not be safe and remove all doubt? Shop for official merchandise at toddhuffshow.com/shop today.
When life is hard for the women you care about, there is help with issues such as widowhood, anxiety, depression, or abuse. They don't have to go through it alone. Peace Restored is there to walk with women through the journey. Peace Restored helps women through free mentoring, counseling, and education. When life is hard, Peace Restored is there to help women you care about find hope and healing. To learn more, visit peacerestored.net.
You rely on your vehicle every day. It's not a member of the family, but you spend as much time with it as most family members. You wouldn't take your family to just any doctor, so don't trust your vehicle to just any repair service. At Raymond's Auto and Truck Repair in Plainfield, we have well-trained, caring technicians that have the expertise to get you back on the road. For 25 years, we've been servicing personal, commercial, and fleet vehicles. Give us a call at 317-838-7112 for the car service you deserve.
Wallace Construction is a family-owned business with 45 years' experience in asphalt, concrete, and seal coating. At Wallace Construction, our wide variety of experience and top-notch customer service have helped us build a strong reputation in central Indiana. But we don't rest on that reputation. We build it, one job at a time. If you have an upcoming project, call us at 317-422-5356. That's Wallace Construction, 317-422-5356, and ask for Richard or Roger.
Seems like just yesterday that you couldn't find a quiet place to think in your home. Now all the kids have flown the nest, and you find yourself wondering what to do with all of that extra space. This is Bruce of Bruce Richardson Realty. My team and I understand that life changes, and so do your home needs. So whether you're downsizing or upsizing, give us a call at 317-507-3285. Let us help you find the best fit for your residential or your commercial property needs. 317-507-3285.
If you own a rental property, you know the hassles of marketing, renting, collecting, and the handling of maintenance and repairs. One call to Zuluscape can put an end to your property management headaches. Zuluscape has over 20 years of experience helping landlords throughout central Indiana and taking the stress out of owning a rental. From A to Z, let Zuluscape handle it all so you can enjoy owning a rental instead of hating being a landlord. Give us a call at 317-663-8485 or visit our website at zuluscape.com.
Ever ask yourself, what does my business insurance actually cover? Well, at AIA and Avon, we think you deserve to know. AIA is focused on earning your trust. We've found that when we educate our clients and truly listen to them, they allow us to work alongside them to put together the insurance plan they need. Whether your business is big or small, give AIA a call, 317-718-1747, or find out what we can do for you at AIA4lowrates.com. Advertisement sponsored by Grange Insurance.
Hi, this is Kenton with Christian Community Connect. We're a network of business professionals that are committed to living out our faith in the marketplace by preferring one another in love while serving everyone. With online listings at $27 per month, if you're a Christian in business, committed to treating others as you would want to be treated, we would love to include you. Check our reviews and sign up at ChristianCommunityConnect.com.
Welcome back really quickly here. Nicholas Sandman, you remember him as the young man from Kentucky who, Covington Catholic High School, who had the whole encounter with the individual in Washington. I think it was in Washington, D.C. He had his MAGA hat on. He sued CNN and the Washington Post for defamation. They settled. I don't know if both settled or just CNN. I don't know, but they settled. There was a settlement. Last night, Joe Lockhart, CNN commentator, says this: I've been watching tonight because it's important, but I don't have to watch this snot-nosed, entitled kid from Kentucky. Folks, I just mentioned this. It's a teenager. One that CNN clearly completely said things about that were untrue. And yet it's his fault. This reaction shows me that they are scared of the results in 2020. Got to go. STGs, take care.